Introducing a new podcast. Karen Hunter is awesome.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're going to love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of The Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. So check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Karen Hunter is awesome. A new podcast from Karen Hunter.
I want more people to call in with intention. I want more people with skills and understanding, with knowledge to call in. This will never be a show where you will be allowed to ramble. This will never be a show. We can vent. There's some things that need venting, but there should be a requirement that other people are listening. Bring something of value. If there's something that we need to know, bring it. This is an opportunity to reach millions of people to talk about something that is important that we may not know. We can't be everywhere, but every one of you, you're living somewhere. And there's going to be a point, because I'm going to be real intentional going out and talking to mayors this year from different cities that I believe, I was challenging us. And from the inception of the Karen Hunter Show, we were talking about rebuilding Black Wall Street, brick by brick, city by city, because that energy, that spirit is in all of us to do. Where we live is to make it a haven, to make it someplace amazing. And it doesn't require a whole lot of anything. I'm going to be sharing a few podcasts coming up where I'm talking about this very thing, what it requires, Black Wall Street, what it requires to do that. People did that right out of enslavement. People built amazing cities out of enslavement. We are not enslaved. We have so many more resources than folk had 100 years ago. So we can do it now. The problem is a lot of us have run to places, and I don't mean that, as an indictment. You left hard places to go to where you thought the grass would be greener, where your children would have a better opportunity to be educated, where there would be fewer horrible things going on, less violence. Yeah, there's no indictment, but can we make those places that are hard better? And I do believe there's strength in numbers. If there's more of us than there are them in a neighborhood, the neighborhood changes. And it doesn't even require more of us. It just requires us to show up and be great. Because I don't think anyone wants to live in violence and squalor. I don't know anyone that signs up for that. But left unchecked, chaos reigns, and it reigns supreme, okay, if left unchecked. Which is why we have to check it. We have to check it in ourselves, which is why the 4 agreements is going to be Don Miguel Ruiz's book that I read a couple of years ago. I'm rereading it. And I got a copy of it in Spanish. That 1 year that I was going to learn Spanish, I didn't do that either. The things I don't do, the things I don't get to, but I put it on my to-do list because eventually I will get to it. But be impeccable with your words, with your word, because words create reality. Number 1. Agreement number 2, this is where I may struggle. Don't take anything personally. Don Miguel Ruiz writes, nothing others do is because of you. Nothing others do is because of you. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. I remember when I was studying the Bible, it was a couple of decades ago, and I was at a study partner, and she was like, you should act your way to good feelings. I was like, I'm not feeling this. And she was like, well, act your way to good. I was like, what does that even mean? I get that. You have a choice. You have a choice to be angry. You have a choice to be offended. It's a choice. The same action, you can choose to be offended, or you could choose not to be offended. It is your choice. And you want to have choices, don't you? That's your freedom. And I was like, you know what? And I practiced it during this election. It's like after the election, I gave myself a moment, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to be unbothered. I made a choice to be unbothered. I can't control the outcome. I did everything in my power to make sure more people had rights and freedoms, and it didn't work out the way I thought it should have. I cannot lament, and I'm not going to use this platform every day to talk about it. I'm going to use this platform to talk about what we do next. So being offended, people call you names, people challenge you in ways. Now I'm going to, not reject goodness. If you're telling me something that needs to change in me, I'm going to assess it depending on our relationship. But you should know a person before you make suggestions about things they should change in their personality that you don't know just by spending a few hours with them. And maybe you know me better than I know myself. I doubt it. But, I would take that with a grain of salt, but I won't be offended. I'm going to try that one. Don't take anything personally. I'm going to try that, Mr. Don Miguel Ruiz. Agreement number 2. Number 3. This one's tough too. Don't make assumptions. This is really hard. It's really hard not to assume some things. And unfortunately, I have some spidey senses that most of the time when I make assumptions, they're right. I've been right more than I've been wrong, but yes, you're right. You should allow folk, be an active listener, ask questions, which I try to do, avoid jumping to conclusions. It's real hard. Consider different perspectives. I feel like I do. Maybe I don't. We've been accused of being in a bubble. I'm happy with this bubble. Let me just be 100%. I like this bubble. The bubble's full of good people. Who wouldn't want to be in a bubble with considerate, brilliant people who like to read, who want to know more about themselves and the world around, who travel? Who wouldn't want to be in that bubble? I like this bubble. But, maybe I'll consider. Communicate openly and honestly. So that's the agreement number 3. And 866-801-8255. What's the number? 866-801-8255. Yep. The 4th agreement. This one I love, and this one I do. I think I embody it. Always do your best. Always do your best. Consistently doing our best builds healthy habits rooted in discipline and perseverance. The discipline part is something I think a lot of us struggle with, primarily because, we're in a world where mediocrity reigns. This is a mediocre society where you can do the bare minimum and succeed. So why do the most? But I'm going to take you back to Beyonce, not because we are Beyonce fans or stans or beehives or whatever. That woman could have done half of that show and still been great. But she was like, no, we're going to have rodeo people standing on horses. I'm going to ride a horse, and then I'm going to go up in the air 100 feet. I said, does she have a harness on? Oh, my goodness. And then do the bang. People are mad about the bang. But you're not mad about Uvalde. You're not mad about Sandy Hook. You're not mad about the school shootings that happen every other day. But you're mad about Beyonce doing bang at the end. Please have a seat. We're not tolerating the hypocrisy and the nonsense in 2025. We are not. We're going to be unbothered, but we're not tolerating it at the same time. But I was thinking about all of this, and I was like, yes, excellence, habits rooted in discipline. That's how you become good and doing your best. And, I was sitting this, past couple of weeks because I had a project that was on my table for far longer than it needed to be. And every day I got up and I didn't feel like doing it because it was frustrating. I hadn't figured it out. So instead of sitting in it until I figured it out, I avoided finishing. I avoided it. But I said, I am not going into 2025 with this thing on my plate. So every day, 6:00, I got up and I worked, and I needed 15,000 more words to complete the project. I gave them 22,000 words, and they were good words. It wasn't just 22,000 words that I just put together as one author did to me. I had a book that ended up becoming a bestseller because I rewrote it. But I was publishing a book, and the author, it was one of those celebrity books that had a collaborator. The collaborator had the nerve to do a different, because your contracts tell you have to have a certain amount of words in order to honor the contract. This motherfucker did a 14-point font, did like some filler word stuff. Like I wasn't going to read every word and do my own word count and put it back to 12-point size. Like he tried to do so many things. He was like 30,000 words short. I ended up having to rewrite the whole book. It was a #1 bestseller. His name is on it. He doesn't deserve it. But I'm going to say all of that to say, I didn't just give them the 15,000 words. I wasn't even thinking about the words. I was thinking about making sure the book was good. So I went back from chapter 1 and rewrote 80% of the book from chapter 1 on, and ended up adding 3 chapters. I was kind of proud. I was like, you did that. Because I got up and made a commitment every day that I was not going to bring this book into 2025, and I have not. And it's done. I hit send a week ahead of time, and I was happy about that. So all of you, I'm sure that things you want to get done, they don't just happen. And the worst thing you can tell yourself is you don't feel like it. Because most of us don't feel like going to work. You know, I got up today. I was like, it's nice being off. I said, Smith, maybe we could figure out doing our best of like the last hour. Like I tried. We couldn't. I tried. I was like, maybe we could leave early, you know. But I'm here and I'm so happy. Once you get here, you're like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm happy being here. I love it. But yeah, I didn't feel like walking today. I didn't feel like getting on my bike. I didn't feel like doing sit-ups this morning. I made a commitment though. It's on my list of to-dos. At least 3 times a week, I got to do some sort of ab core work, that, squats and stuff. And I bought all of this gym equipment, use it. So, it's 3 days in, but so far so good. But that I don't feel like it creeps up every day. There's something I don't feel like doing, but the discipline makes you do it anyway. And then once you're in it, you're so happy that you did it. How many of you have been to the gym after not feeling like it? I've been to the gym and drove into the gym, which is not close, and then drove right back out because I got there. I was like, I don't feel like the parking lot. And then you got excuses. The parking lot is crowded. I don't do a lot of people. Too many people here. I'm leaving. I will not do that to myself because it's me. I should do my best when no one's looking is the point that I'm making. And watching the documentary last night of Luther Vandross and watching him show up for all of the people. And Roberta Flack finally was like, I'm firing. You have to go, sir, to do your own album. So you can't tour with me anymore. But he was happy showing up for all of these people and being excellent, doing jingles, just showing up, bringing all of his goodness. So by the time he could do it for himself, but he still never let up. He never let up. And there's so many people who could be great, but for this. There's so many more talented, there's no more talented people than Luther Vandross vocally. Let me just say that. I think he was a seminal, once-in-a-lifetime voice. But the work ethic, and he didn't fit the description. He didn't look the part. He was a dark-skinned, overweight black man who, didn't fit the part of what they were putting out, these record labels. They didn't value what he had to offer, but he valued himself enough to show up. So I'm gonna say less. Y'all can watch the documentary. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. But I'm also, in addition to the 4 agreements, I'm going to be zero tolerant. I know some of you are like, how's that possible for you to be more intolerant? But it is actually, I've been a little soft on these airwaves. I'm just going to be honest. I know some of y'all think I'm tough, but there's levels to this. And I think we need to take the level up a little more, which is why I invite everyone to call. But, really just, and I don't want to discourage you. And I'm sometimes low key jealous when I come in and I see how many calls Clay has up, and I'm like, oh wow, and then I get here and it's like womp womp. But I also know that there's a little bit of fear. I don't want to call. I don't want Karen to, I don't want you to, none of that. But just ask yourself, am I adding to the program? We're all in this together. This is, maybe the Karen Hunter show, but it's you. You're part of it. If you call up, you're part of the show. Bring something that we can be, that we can be nourished by. That's all. All right.